All right, well, good afternoon. We'll go ahead and get started with the next panel here. As you can see, social media, the only way to communicate with the next generation of sports fans and gamblers. And I obviously have a Hall of Fame cast here with me, so hopefully you'll enjoy what they're about to present. All right, we'll start ladies first here with Ashley. How are consumers now using social media as kind of a rallying point, and how does that direct to their spendings accordingly?
Sure. I mean, obviously, social media, everyone is engaged there across industries, across different platforms from Instagram, Twitter, et cetera. But you're really seeing it, some examples in terms of looking at Reddit, right? We saw what happened with the GameStop stock there. Recently with Damar Hamlin and his injury, he was raising, his goal of fundraising for his charity was $2,500 and raised millions of dollars through having that link on Instagram and through Twitter. And then I guess even more recently, again, across many industries, you're seeing sort of things unfold with two celebrities, and they own beauty companies, and consumers are not only voicing their support across those platforms, but they're also directing their spend there. So Rare Beauty, for instance, saw an uptick in overall sales just because of that result. Which team are you on? So, they're not only using it to either voice their concern or displeasure, but they're also directing their spending there normally. But then if something else transpires, they're, using that as a way to funnel even more. Perhaps they were affiliated with a previous brand, but now they disagree with something across social media, and they'll funnel their, their spend there.
Yeah, just to add to that, I think you're starting to see an initiative of brands and operators alike investing to build their own social media presence. They're trying to build their own community so that way they can leverage this in the future for new products or new shows that are launching, or whether it's a new state launch, whatever it is. I'm starting to see from my side of things that brands are investing in their own platforms and creating their own IP and launching their own podcasts. Because as you can see with the Barstool model, when you have that community and you have that brand name, you're able to market cost effectively, sustainably, forever. The problem with TV ads is that the second you stop spending money for the next TV ad, you're no longer getting promoting. But when you build your own community, that gives you an arena where you can continue to market different products that you're releasing going forward. So that's an area I'm seeing a lot of push in.
Ben or David, anything on that one?
No, I mean, I think you nailed it. I mean, I think on the operator front, adding on there a bit, over the last year, you're seeing a lot of the sports books, again, try to create their own voice, trying to, go viral themselves a bit, and it's gonna, I think it's gonna all shake itself out, but I think you've seen it almost go a little too far in some cases where you're like, okay, are you a sports book, or are you just doing memes, and what is the, is it actually bringing people in the door? So I think that's going to all work itself out, but it's interesting, right? And trends beget trends, and there's a few of them that started it, now they're all doing it. But I think they find it an effective way to reach an audience, just because if you run an ad on a NFL game, there's four other sports books doing it, and when you have someone following you on one of these platforms, there's obviously a million other accounts people are following, but you at least hold their attention 100% for whether that's 5 seconds or whether that's 10 minutes if they're scrolling through all your stuff. It's it's important. It's going to continue to grow, and I think it's really the only effective. Well, not only, but it's I think it's the one area where you can hit that younger audience as well, just because we see with a 18 or even less, if you're going after a audience that's under the age of 40 at this point, they're not really even visiting websites anymore. They're getting their news, their entertainment, their videos from YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and the rest.
I think we have a long way to go until we're there. Barstool's model doesn't work. I mean, they came out and said it doesn't work. So it's going to take a long time for us to. Social media and gaming doesn't work like social media and e-commerce or raising funds or doing anything like that. This is a completely different ballgame when it comes to social media and sports betting and iGaming. And most of the guys aren't doing it efficiently, and most of the guys aren't even doing it yet. So, this isn't, to raise funds, it's very easy. To sell things, clothing, everything, but in sports betting, it's different. On top of that, most of Most people don't want to tell their neighbor that they're gambling at FanDuel. Like, you still have to remember that.
Right.
You're not gonna run and tell your neighbor, I just placed a bet randomly on, the Knicks against the Hornets.
Sure.
It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it's still, just unique.
That could be based on like age demographics too. Like I think it's pretty common I'm 25. Like me and all my friends and other friends have group chats where we're sending picks and what we're betting on and what we're doing. So I don't know if that's just like based on like what age range you're talking about, but for what I've seen with people my age is we are telling our friends about what we're betting on. It's kind of like a community and it's fun. And that's how social media plays a lot into that because we're interacting with each other online. We're interacting with each other through our posts. So that's what I've seen.
Troy, I'll go with you with the next question. How is the gaming industry kind of shifting its marketing budget towards social media advertising, certainly as the profitability is becoming a little more priority in this space?
Yeah, so like I was saying earlier, I'm seeing a lot of companies, not all of them doing it extremely effectively, but at the very least trying to build a community and starting to try to build an audience and try to build podcast shows. I think with investing in social media in terms of leading towards profitability, you're going to want to have some stance and some postings that are going up on Twitter or Instagram or TikTok at all times, just because like that is where the next generation of sports fans are getting their news. Like that's when I'm watching football on Sundays, I have Twitter up the whole time. That's where I'm getting my memes. That's where I'm getting my news. So it's going to be pivotal for operators to continue to post ads and continue to create engagement on social media to actually lead to client acquisition. So
I think you see a shift more to performance, less into the social and more into the performance. A lot of these guys aren't buying traffic internally anymore. So there is a shift as people try to become profitable more to the affiliates and less to their internal teams who are doing it. So that's really the shift you see going on right now. Like they want to become profitable, they're coming to the affiliates and they're trimming their budgets internally, whether it's on TV spend, offline spend, or wherever their spend might be. But right now there's a shift very much more towards the performance model than the internal.
I don't know. I think it's a mix, and again, this is like self-serving for me and our company. But we've seen a bit of a mix of it, right? I think some of the spend is. DraftKings came out and said that they're going to stop doing the stadium sponsorships and some of the team sponsorships and stuff. And not that doesn't work, but at some point there's just diminishing returns on that. We work with a lot of these sports books. We do a lot of social stuff for them, and it's performance, but a little. It's performance and also brand building. Like there's a couple of the sports books that, frankly, like we built but we grew their Instagram following from 5,000 to 70,000 plus, right? And there is that value there. So I don't know. I think they're getting smarter. I think they're still going to spend a lot of money on social, but they're doing it in a smarter way. And at the end of the day, it all comes down to customer acquisition. But affiliate, I would argue, isn't like 100% the answer either, because there is like a lot of bad affiliate traffic that comes in, right? Like there is the bonus hunters, there is all that. And to be clear, I think consumers should bonus hunt, right? There's free money out there and all that. And if I was running an affiliate business too, I don't want people signing up for one. I want them signing up for 10, right? And I think there's some of that going on. So there's a lot of good actors in the affiliate space as well, but I think they're getting smarter on that front too, right? Like if this affiliate company, site, influencer, or whoever is sending better traffic, I think they're focusing more on that and getting rid of some of the bad actors. I think they're doing that on the social side as well, because if you're an influencer and you're just giving out 20 leg single game parlays, like sure, you're gonna get people in the door, but you're gonna lose them like a week later,
right?
And then they're gonna tell all their friends that it sucks and they'll never go back. So I don't know. We see money coming in. They're just getting smarter about it.
Yeah. Ashley, anything to add there?
I mean, I would agree. I think, it's ultimately about building trust and continued engagement. It's one thing to get them in the door, but how do you keep them? And it's building something, whether it's a brand or an influencer, that can actually drive traffic over a continued span because they, trust the person and want to engage because they also like the content in addition to, the offerings.
Yeah, and just to add one more thing to that, I think in terms of working with influencers, that's such a broad term. You're looking at the sports books, and it's deciding which select group of influencers are we going to be working with. Is it going to be somebody who's an ex-athlete and has a huge name, but might be very expensive to run a campaign with, versus our field, we work directly with micro-influencers, which is more localized based and smaller accounts, but you're paying more based on that actual engagement in certain markets. So well, I'm seeing operators that are changing their spend, and a lot of them are more focused on advertising just with maybe smaller accounts that are only focused on Massachusetts for the state launch versus working with major athletes that cost a lot more money, may bring a bigger name to it, but their engagement, it may not be worth the cost effectiveness of the spend.
Cool. Ben, I'm going to turn to you now, the $1 million question here. How can you tackle social media ad restrictions when it comes to gambling, betting, any of those regards?
It's extremely difficult. You guys are touching on influencers, but influencers can't necessarily advertise for sports books.
Yeah.
So how do you do that? How do you get around that? We work with a lot of companies because we're whitelisted. By the way, I don't think anybody touched on this. There is no sports betting advertising in TikTok. It's completely against TikTok's rules. Maybe it'll change, maybe it won't, but you still have problems everywhere you go. And, Google, Bing, doesn't matter who you are, you continuously will have those problems. We just need to work through it. It's just going to take time. But it's also what stops a lot of the books from pouring money in. Because you need somebody who knows how to run it. As we said, this isn't e-com, it's sports betting or casino. And then you need to have the deep pockets and the understanding of how do I work with a Meta or a Reddit or a Twitter, if there's anybody even at Twitter to talk to today. You just got to continue. So a lot of the books will come to companies like ourselves, and we'll work with them because we have all these whitelisted relationships with Meta and all those guys. But there's nothing to do. Just, hopefully they don't make it as hard as the UK. That's all we can ask for.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. On some of the influencers, right? And there's some bad actors out there, and there's some bad actor companies and all that too. But I think it is, it's important that the people that are running the ads are licensed.
Yeah.
There's people that aren't licensed that are doing it, and it's not my problem. That's there'll be a reckoning at some point. But I don't think the sports books are always vetting all that as well. I've seen it. I've seen a lot of people that aren't licensed that are running stuff. I think there's a partial education thing on that, because I think there's people that, I advertise a beauty brand, or I advertise an energy drink. I don't need to be licensed for that. I don't think they actually know they have to get licensed, right? And the licensing, it's a pain in the ass. It costs money, it costs time. There's great companies out there that can help you through it, but fingerprinting, background checks and stuff, it's a bit, it's kind of a pain, but I would love it if the sportsbook started cracking down, and I would love it if the platform started cracking down on it, because it would bring us more money. Again, very self-serving on that front. But I think it's gonna flesh itself out over time. I think there's in this industry, there's a lot of grand proclamations, right? It's still very nascent, even though gambling's been around millenniums. Mobile betting is it's still brand new. So I think we could be here a year from now, and TikTok, I know they're working towards betting, to get it in there. They want the dollars, but the audience is so young, and there's a lot of people ruining it too. They're on there, and they're pushing plays and stuff like that, and they're kind of okay if you're not pushing plays and more talking to lifestyle stuff, but they're booting people left and right. So to your point on that, you have this gigantic beast in the room, TikTok, that hasn't even unlocked itself yet, and the books are on there. They're trying to figure it out too, right. But I get emailed from them. They're like, "Can you get us unshadow banned?" And then you talk to TikTok, we don't shadow ban, and yeah, you do. And then 2 days later, it's fine again. But it's kind of the Wild West on that front. But Instagram, Twitter, and all that, they've kind of figured it out. Snap, kind of, but it's still very early and all that. So,
anybody else on that one? No.
Good.
I'm going to go back to you here, Ben. So about a third will block or hide certain ads weekly due to just kind of the repetition of what's going on. How can you make sure that does not happen to your product, Ben?
You need to be changing up your creatives, and this is something we see in the States less than we see overseas in Europe. In the States, they'll run the same ad for 6-7 months.
Yeah.
And you can't. You get the repetition. People don't want to see the same ad with so and so. So you always need new creatives. You always need new videos. You always need new things to go out there. You don't even need necessarily bonuses or promotions. Just new creatives all the time to keep people engaged and interested. If you're running the same thing over and over again, it will not work. It's just people will not respond. People will not even, they'll start to block you in a sense. So you always need to be changing that. Something in the States we don't see. There's not a whole lot of creatives. If we asked an operator for creatives, maybe not MGM, but somebody else, like even the big guys, you'll be waiting months.
Yeah.
It starts with the content and the creatives, and they try to get the influencers to help you create some of the content, but once again, there's a whole nother can of worms in a sense.
Sure. All right, David, I'm going to move over to you. What are your thoughts about sports books getting into the content game? I know we've touched on this a little bit, and what do you see as some good and bad trends that you've seen?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's smart, and they have to, and there's some like good content created. FanDuel's taking a big swing with, like FanDuel TV, right? It's still like mostly horse racing on there,
Right.
but they're building it up, and you can see where that's going over like 10 years. I think that's good. Obviously some of them are streaming live games and stuff, and it's smart for obvious reasons. I think most of it's good. People are trying things and trying to grow their channels, and even when they're doing stuff that I'm convinced will never convert a single better, it's still interesting, right? I think the bad stuff, honestly, is anytime like a sports book is like pushing one side of a bet or working with someone, and they're like, hey, who's this our talent on tonight, and they don't really, like, nobody really knows what they're talking about,
Right.
because anyone that's a pro has no time to talk about it, right? And like, and people are out there giving bad lines that have been steamed and they don't even know it and all that. And like at the end of the day, it's like a sports book. Like, yeah, they're your friend, but they exist to like make money.
Right.
So I think I don't like that, and I think that needs to go away at some point. There's also, but on the other side of it too, when they do these like parlays and stuff with their talent influencers, all that as well, I think it is interesting, especially when there's like odd boosts attached to it, because then in theory it's like a plus EV bet. So I don't know. I don't think that's as bad. But it's getting kind of blended, and I think at the end of the day, like the sports book needs to be a sports book and not a content media company. There's a lot more, it's not easier, but there's a lot more money to be made in being a sports book than it is like trying to start a media company.
Right.
Like, trust me on that.
I'm just going to hop in here for a second. It's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what Barstool's done. They're going on college campuses. They're pushing college students to bet, and been in this business for 17 years. Trust me, none of us want an 18 or 22-year-old kid betting. Like, they're not paying our bills.
Right.
So you have what Barstool's doing. Then you have everything going on with Better and Jake Paul. Is Jake Paul going to be able to build a sports book? Well, I mean, he's not selling $30 cans of smart drinks here.
Yeah, but I think he will, though. I mean, I get they're an easy punching bag. I get like Barstool's an easy punching bag, and it hasn't probably gone as well as it could for Penn. But like, they also aren't spending any money on anything, and like, you can't be on college campuses pushing it. But at the end of the day, if they're 21, they're 21.
They spent $250 million to buy that company, and by the way,
and it's worth $800 million.
Yeah,
easy.
yeah,
I mean,
it's worth $800 million. But sports betting isn't new, and it's not new online. Okay, it's been going on overseas for 20 plus years. There have been people that have tried this, to build a sports book around a media company. Ask Sky how it went. It didn't work.
But if people go, and there's nothing wrong with people going to like Vegas to celebrate their 21st birthday. So I guess I don't understand why people that are 21 can't place a bet. And like in Better's case, again, like Jake Paul, easy punching bag, all that, but like they actually are, I would argue, the most like responsible gaming of all. Like they will not let the younger people bet over a certain amount. Like they're not. I don't know if they're only allowing debit cards or not, but like they're not allowing credit cards. And I get that some of that's a PR play, because you can't really use credit cards at most casinos in most states or most credit card companies. But they're trying, and they're trying to do it the right way. And again, Barstool, they've done some wrong things, and I don't think you need to be that close on campus. But if someone's 21, they're 21. They're going to gamble anyways. And yeah, there's campus bookies all over too, and it's more responsible than betting with a bookie on campus. And we're really, it existed. It existed when I was in college, decades ago, basically, and it exists now. So at least you can try to get them responsibly, and there are limits, and there's ways to identify problem gambling and talk to them in an adult, mature way. But if you're just saying, hey, they can't be there, then they're going to bet somewhere, and they're going to lose it, or they're going to be betting in a dumb way, in my opinion. So,
yeah, and just to add to that, in terms of creating a media company and turning it into a sports book, I think the industry's way too young. It remains to be seen. Better launched all of 11 months ago. Barstool's still relatively new. So there's a lot to come on that front, but there is something to be said about getting a customer simply because they love your brand, simply because they like Barstool. That's why someone would sign up for that sports book. People are going to join better simply because they like Jake Paul and they like the brand. It's not going to be as based around oh, I'm going to get such a big bonus for signing up for the sports book. You have that brand loyalty. So in my opinion, in the long run, I think it's going to be a huge success. But again, it does remain to be seen.
Okay, Ashley, I'm going to ask you, how do you strategically use your social media for business objectives?
I think first determining what's the purpose. I mean, you've heard obviously lots of thoughts in terms of what is social media, why are we using it? Ultimately, that's where, the next generation of consumers are, and it's not just, an issue for sports betting. Look at baseball. I mean, they're changing the rules of the game. So I think that, why are you using it? Because a lot of companies that we've worked with, sometimes they think they just need to be on there, but what's the purpose? So what business objective are you achieving, first of all, in going on those platforms? Because maybe also you don't need to be across all of them, depending on the size of your business or the scope of your business. Perhaps maybe one or two, work for you that you're able to regularly update, as the other panelists have said, with content, right? Because if you have these channels and they sit dormant, you're sort of hurting your efforts straight away. So making sure, why you're entering into those platforms, what the use of each of those platforms is, knowing the demographics of those platforms are not all the same, and then using it, again, to your advantage, because you can make a consumer or create loyalty, from that. Maybe it's a long-term play and building that brand loyalty, but that's where they are anyway. So, not trying is probably not the answer.
Anyone else on that? No? Okay, probably the last question here, Troy, I'm going to go to you. We've talked about all these, the influencer opportunities are all over. Obviously, there's all over. But how can operators and affiliates kind of leverage that for the cost-effective, kind of to reach their own goals?
Yeah, well, I touched on this a bit earlier, but it really all starts on what is your goal with this campaign you're running? What are you trying to hit? Are you trying to get new customers for a state launch? If you are, then running with a major national influencer really isn't going to be that cost-effective, because the majority of their followers are going to be in different states. It makes more sense to run with a micro-influencer who's only based in Massachusetts. To that end, if you're focused on branding, let's say you're launching a new podcast show, and you just want to target sports fans across the U.S., then there's a ton of national influencers where utilizing their services and their promotion could be great to bring eyeballs to whatever this new podcast show is. So I think it's important to not just say oh, social media marketing is all one and the same. When you're working with influencers, you have to segment it based on what your goals are and what type of audiences can you reach with any given campaign. That's what I've seen.
Anyone else want to touch on that?
No, I agree. I mean, and again, this is all about the industry getting smarter on that front, and hitting in Massachusetts, hey, we got to get this guy that's big in Mass. I don't think anyone got David Ortiz, but he'd be a perfect example, right, during the Mass launch. Bring him in, but he's also expensive, so I think it's getting those people with a very loyal audience, localized or not localized. They have to be real with it, right? They have to be creating content that is meaningful. It can't look like an ad. Again, I'm talking about 40 younger, right? I don't know how to market to my dad. Yeah. But yeah, it has to be authentic. It has to be interesting. It has to be new. It has to be content that you want to see. And it's, we try it. I think we do it pretty well, but you're always learning, and you have influencers that you work with, and you're always learning sort of the next thing. And the minute you hit on something, there's going to be 30 people that do the same thing. So it's just the constant challenge of figuring out what's next. And it's frustrating at times, it's fun at times, and it's rewarding at times when you kind of hit it. So yeah, just knowing the audience for sure.
Sure. Well, sounds good. We're about out of time here, so no real time for questions here. But if you got time, reach out to these guys. They'll be here the rest of the day today. And for Rodney Knuppel, this is the social media panel. Thank you for all coming. Thank you.